What's going on YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. I know I'm pretty late on this one. I haven't posted a video in a while, so last video I did was Doctor Sleep, so yeah, or the Halloween thing. I can't remember. It's been a few weeks since I posted a video on here, but got some more content coming along the way, got some more other stuff, but let's go ahead and talk about Deathstroke issue 49. Now, this book came out last week. I just didn't get the chance to look at it or talk about it. This is issue 49, so that means that we only have one issue left in this entire Christopher Priest Deathstroke run. And then Deathstroke, I guess, is just going to kind of show up in a few other books. A lot of runs are going to start to end, and I feel like DC is going to have to, start at some new number ones in the near future. Because, I mean, Batman's getting close to issue 100. Superman obviously did the restart with Bendis. I don't know what Deathstroke's going to do. I think he's going to show up in the Teen Titans books again. So we still got this stuff going on with the two Deathstrokes. Jericho Wilson inherited like this godlike power from Lex Luthor, the Year of the Villain stuff. I'm just ready for this Year of the Villain thing to end. I feel like it's like interrupting so many of these other books, particularly the books that are like once a month. Now, if it's like a twice a month book, certain things can, speed up a bit, but Year of the Villain kind of just took over so much of the DC universe, kind of like what Metal did, but Metal I thought was a lot more interesting than Year of the Villain. And I'm just kind of waiting for this thing to end, but we now have the two Deathstrokes in here. We have Jericho going in, kind of like recapping the events that happened. There was definitely some confusion I had when reading this, and it wasn't until like I just reread it again before doing this video that I really made clear of why there's two Deathstrokes. So what I think happened was with the two Deathstrokes, Jericho's, when he reached godlike powers, he pulled another Deathstroke out of the multiverse, and that's kind of like this little scraggly one. That is the Deathstroke, I believe, from the original New Teen Titans era, the one that had the original Judas contract, because I saw a solicitation, or not a solicitation, an issue 50 preview that had like the original Teen Titans in there, from the New Teen Titans era, and then I saw Wonder Woman in there, I saw Damian in there, and we'll just have to see like the context of it all, but I believe that's the case with who this other Deathstroke is. And then the Deathstroke who looks healthier, I guess that's the one that Emiko shot and killed. I say that loosely, who's somehow still come back to life. I still don't understand how that happened. Like I said, there's still a lot of confusion going on between, Deathstroke and how he's alive and so on and so forth. I really don't know anymore. I've tried. If anybody has a good explanation, please let me know. Again, I read over it before, and I went over it in one of the videos. It was like, oh, did this heal him? Well, I'm not so sure. It's really kind of vague and not really a clear-cut explanation, at least from what I gathered. I tried reading over it, and unless I missed it, somebody just let me know. But per the usual, we're going to go ahead and read the issue description here. Having ascended in your godhood, Jericho must confront his father. With the lives of his mother and sister hanging in the balance, does Deathstroke stand a chance against such power, and is there any humanity left inside of Jericho? Now, this is a pretty solid issue, I'd say. The artwork is very nice. Again, I was confused, but it took me a couple of reads to really grasp what was going on. Like I said, I kind of wish Year of the Villain was pushed off to the side a bit because I feel like it's kind of interrupting things. We go deep into Jericho's thoughts about like what he thinks makes a villain, what makes a hero. I really like the perspective from Jericho and where he's coming from. We really get to kind of like a recap of like all the different events right there, what Jericho was doing. He had the thing with Red Arrow, who, by the way, we still don't know why she did what she did. I don't know if we're ever going to. This stuff with Hosen, Rose's husband, who's somehow still alive, despite surviving, falling. I don't even know anymore. Just kind of this stuff happens, and then Year of the Villain stuff. We get this Slate here is the Slate I believe is from another multiverse. I think they kind of explain it somewhat in the issue. Again, it's not super clear cut what's going on. Let's see if we can skim through it. If we can find what I was looking for, the panel that explains it. Rose and I drew you here like a psychic tractor being popped. Okay, we created each other, managing passing through me. To me, pierce the barriers of the multiverse, open the door, but as my longing for you, my father. Rose and I drew you here like a psychic tractor. So yeah, I guess Joey pulled him out of the multiverse through his new godlike powers. This Deathstroke here is desperate for life because he's pretty much dying, so he asks Joey for help. He seemingly gets it, but then towards the end of the issue, he gets crashed, and then we have the other Deathstroke here who's going to fight him, and then we're going to get a double-sized finale to the whole Deathstroke thing. So that's kind of a brief summary of the issue. Artwork, once again, artwork is great. Dialogue here is, some of it's pretty funny. Like, there's a few bits with Hosen that I kind of liked. I like diving into like Jericho and like how this whole thing has kind of affected him and just the things that he's done. The relationships with him and Rose is interesting. I'm interested to see how this whole run is going to end. I'm sure it's going to call back to like an issue like 50 issues ago, but there are some things that have been kind of left open in this run. I hope they wrap it up too, or I hope they're able to like cover all the loose ends that are in this run. I know it's going to be a big, huge, double-sized ending issue, but there was stuff early on that has still, to my knowledge, not been solved. Like, for instance, there was the Tanya character. She ended up in another universe with, like, what was it, Power Girl? That I figured, like, during the Defiance arc, and she just kind of just disappeared altogether, and she has not shown up since. I kind of hope that she comes back in the next issue, because I don't like things being kind of left unanswered, like, just kind of things just left lingering there. I'm like, is it ever going to be brought up again? What happened to her? I do plan on rereading, if I can, like the entire like 49, 50 issues of Deathstroke before this final issue. That way it's all fresh in my mind. That includes the crossovers. And plus just to see where this run started, to see where it is now. It is interesting. There has been some really good ups and downs in this Deathstroke run. The Batman versus Deathstroke, I didn't like that at all. I thought that just was a waste of time, especially considering the fact that the whole thing could have been solved with a simple conversation. And then it just dragged on. They tried doing the like Mari nonsense, and it just got old. It just didn't really just gel with the rest of the DC stuff. I had a feeling Christopher Priest really wanted to make Damian Slade's son, but DC smartly said no, because like no, we already created this character, we've established it in all this different lore. We're not just gonna retcon it like that, just because he likes. I guess he just really likes writing those two as like, I guess, Slade's already got enough kids. He's got enough kids. You don't need to try and make, Damian his son. I thought that was kind of dumb. I really dug the Defiance arc. That was pretty good. And this final arc here, again, there's some bits that are a little bit confusing. But there is some nice dialogue in here. Like I said, there's some good stuff here with Jericho and Rose. And I'm going to be, kind of bummed when this whole Deathstroke thing comes out, because this has been consistently one of the stronger titles of Rebirth. Again, some of the crossovers haven't quite worked. Like I said, Deathstroke vs. Batman wasn't the best. Terminus Agenda had its ups and downs. What was the other one? The Lazarus Contract, again, that was kind of like the same deal with that one. That one had its ups and downs too. And, but there has been some good stuff in this book. I can't deny it. I know a lot of people have really enjoyed this thing. I like Christopher Priest's style. I have no idea what Priest is going to do after Deathstroke's done. I didn't see him writing anything else in like the upcoming solicitation. They released the solicitations up to like February, and I know I saw in the Teen Titans books that Deathstroke is still going to be on their trail, so I guess Slade's going to come back and factor into that book some more. So I have a feeling this other Deathstroke, and I did see the preview for issue 50. I did see the original New Teen Titans come in, like original, like Marv Wolfman. Well, Marv Wolfman, George Perez Titans kind of come through, and I'm like, okay, let's see where this thing goes. So I guess they're going to be chasing him through the multiverse. They'll come across different things, be like, who are you? What are you doing? So that should be fascinating. This is going to be. It's been an epic run for the most part. It's only gone on for 50 issues. Some, like I said, some bits just kind of dragged it. There's been some open-ended stuff that I hope they, cover their bases with that. I hope they don't leave anything just lingering. Like I said, there was that issue with the Tanya character who went into the other universe. I think it was the Power Girl, to last I remember, but like she's kind of just trapped there, and they haven't really dived into that. It's like, and I know Priest likes to bring up things from earlier issues, like the smallest, most minute detail plays a big factor later on. I'm just like, wait, what? So it should be fun and exciting to see where this thing all ends. But yeah, have you read issue 49 of Deathstroke? I do recommend it. Are you excited for issue 50? I'm very excited for issue 50. I think it's been fun covering some of these Deathstroke books. I know I didn't start from the beginning of the run, but that's because I didn't start reading Deathstroke till later on. Like, I think it was like 20, or like closer to 20 issues into the run before I picked it up. Because at the start of Rebirth, I was starting to read different titles, and I started in like with Batman Super Sons and Detective and Superman, and then I started spreading my way out through all these different titles. Like, I've read all the Batman stuff since the start of Rebirth, the King Run, Detective Comics. I read all Teen Titans. I read all Super Sons, all of the Superman books. Well, I stopped when Bendis took over Action Comics. I read the other Superman books, but it just hasn't been the same. All the Tomasi stuff I read, which is really great. Nightwing, I read all that. Batgirl, I read all that. Red Hood and the Outlaws, I read all that. I'm trying to think what other stuff. Justice League, I've been reading. I read all the Scott Snyder stuff. I didn't read the original Start of the Rebirth stuff, but I think that one's fine. I just wish this year the villain thing didn't have to infect every single title. It's been going on for a few. I'm just waiting for it to kind of end at this point. It's going to end next month, I think. But that's still an exciting book. They got new creative team coming on in January or February, I believe. But yeah, so a lot has changed since the start of this Deathstroke book, and I'm a little bit nostalgic for like that early Rebirth stuff. I think when was the Rebirth? Was it like 2016, 2017? I think it was 2016 when it started, and I'm just kind of getting like I said, I'm getting a little sentimental. I'm kind of missing the early days of Rebirth. I know Rebirth has ended basically with Dark Knight's Metal, but I do kind of miss that time frame. There's a lot of energy and excitement in the DC books, and a lot of them overall have kind of just dwindled a bit. Like, it's just like this past year or two, it just hasn't been as exciting as it was just a couple years ago when they did this whole Rebirth initiative. Like, there's been like a sense of a lot of the hopefulness isn't there quite as much. Some books have just really gone down in quality. Different people have been taken off different creative teams. And for people who aren't quite as good, cough, cough, the Superman books aren't even close to as good as they were to when Dan Jurgens and Tomasi were writing. Like, when Jurgens was writing Action Comics and Tomasi was writing Superman, like, you get like 4 Superman books a month. That was great. That was that was arguably one of the best comic book runs I've like ever read. That was really solid stuff. And again, Christopher Priest, for like I said, for the most part, he's done a pretty good job with the Deathstroke book, with just a few hiccups here and there. But I'm glad I read it, and I'm looking forward to issue 50. So, yeah, I've kind of rambled on a bit here, but this is kind of what happens when I start talking DC comic book stuff. But I don't know what they're going to do with Deathstroke after issue 50. Are they going to relaunch a bunch of titles? I kind of hope they start fresh on a lot of titles, too, because once you start getting up to, like, over 100-plus issues with something, you're kind of like, all right, well, when are we going to move on to something else, or who's going to take over this next book? So that's going to be it. Let me know your thoughts on issue 49 of Deathstroke. How excited are you for issue 50? Again, I'm sorry this is a little bit late video. I got a bunch of other content going to be posted in the next day or two. And I got another opening night video that I did for Big Jack Films that's going to go on his channel, so you can check that out too. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. And post your comments down below. Hit the bell for notifications. Like, share, blah, 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 blah. And I will see you all in the next video, because we're going to be talking about, next week is Teen Titans comes out, so we're going to be talking about that. I think I'm going to finally meet the other. Good, because I'm just waiting for that for over a year and a half, basically. So next month, or next week, the next Teen Titans book. And then next month, we finish up Deathstroke. And then if you guys want me to cover other comics, I only started covering it post Terminus Agenda. So, yeah. All right, that's all I got to say. Take care now. Bye-bye then, and I shall see you all in the next video. Peace.